Waking up multiple times a night to use the bathroom isn't just annoying. It's a sign your body may be warning you. This silent disruption affects your sleep, your energy, and over time, your health. But there is one overlooked nutrient that could help change everything naturally. Have you ever found yourself waking up once, twice, or even more times during the night just to go to the bathroom? At first, it may seem like a minor inconvenience. Maybe you think it's just part of getting older, or you had too much water before bed. But the truth is, this nightly interruption is far from harmless. In fact, it could be the first sign of an underlying imbalance that, if ignored, may quietly affect not only your bladder, but your overall health and well-being. Imagine the impact of waking up several times a night. Your sleep cycles are disrupted. Your body loses the chance to go through the full process of restoration and repair. You wake up tired, groggy, more irritable. Over time, this chronic fatigue chips away at your energy, your focus, your mood. What starts as a bathroom trip becomes a domino effect that affects your entire day, every day. And here's something even more surprising. Studies have shown that nocturia, the need to wake up at night to urinate, is linked not just to poor sleep, but also to increased risk of falls, especially in older adults. It also has a surprising connection with heart health, stress hormone levels, and even your brain's ability to regulate impulses and memory. Still think it's just a normal part of aging? There is one key nutrient that plays a vital role in supporting your bladder's ability to control urges, especially at night. But this nutrient is often missing from the modern diet. As processed food becomes more prevalent and soil quality continues to decline, we're seeing a gradual disappearance of this natural helper from the average North American plate. It's no wonder so many people are suffering quietly, thinking this is just their new reality. Now, I want you to keep watching closely, because the way this nutrient works inside your body is nothing short of remarkable. It doesn't act like a medicine. It works with your body, supporting the communication between your nerves and the muscles of your bladder. When levels are optimal, your body receives a stronger, clearer signal. It knows when to hold and when to release. You feel more in control. You sleep through the night. You wake up refreshed, all without the need for invasive procedures or synthetic solutions. But here's the most concerning part. More than 70% of adults with nocturia are either deficient or absorbing this nutrient improperly, and they have no idea. Just imagine how many people are turning to unnecessary solutions, spending money, time, and emotional energy, when a natural, scientifically supported answer has been quietly overlooked. Before we go any further, I have something extra for you. At the end of this content, I'm going to share a powerful bonus strategy, a simple ingredient commonly found in North American kitchens that can enhance the effects of this nutrient when prepared correctly. But if misused, it can actually block absorption and make symptoms worse. That's why it's critical you watch all the way through. When it comes to health, details matter. Tiny changes in how you prepare or combine foods can mean the difference between lasting relief and wasted effort. So stay with me. Your body deserves that attention. In a moment, we're going to uncover the hidden habits that quietly sabotage your bladder control and make nocturia worse, even in people who eat well and stay active. These everyday choices could be working against you, and the next insight may be one of the most important of all. If ignored, not only can your progress be limited, but you might also experience side effects that could have been completely avoided. Stay focused. You might be surprised to learn that some of the biggest culprits behind bladder dysfunction aren't medical conditions at all. They're the foods and habits we consider normal. While we're often told to cut back on sugar or processed food for weight loss or heart health, few people realize how deeply these choices affect the urinary system. And the truth is, many of these habits are especially common in North America. Let's start with a classic morning ritual: coffee. While it may give you that much-needed energy boost, caffeine is a known bladder irritant. It increases urine production and stimulates the bladder muscles, making you feel the urge more frequently, even when your bladder isn't full. And the problem doesn't end there. Many people drink coffee on an empty stomach, which amplifies its diuretic effect and may contribute to inflammation throughout the urinary tract. Now add artificial sweeteners into the mix. Found in everything from diet sodas to low-calorie snacks, these chemicals can disrupt the delicate lining of your bladder and mimic the effects of sugar on your nervous system. This creates a cascade of false signals telling your body to eliminate more often than necessary. Even if you're not a soda drinker, artificial sweeteners hide in protein bars, yogurts, and even chewing gum. Then there are the silent saboteurs: high-sodium processed foods. Canned soups, frozen meals, and packaged snacks are loaded with salt, which causes fluid retention during the day. But at night, as your body finally relaxes and tries to balance out your fluid levels, it suddenly releases the excess, sending you running to the bathroom at 2 or 3 in the morning. Even so-called healthy foods can play a role. Citrus fruits, tomatoes, and spicy foods can all increase acidity in the bladder, leading to irritation and more frequent urges. It doesn't mean you need to eliminate them completely, but understanding how and when to consume them can make all the difference. Here's the part most people overlook. These everyday foods and drinks can gradually desensitize the bladder. Over time, the muscles become less responsive and the nerves less accurate. You might not even realize that your bladder has adapted to these disruptions until the nocturia becomes part of your nightly routine. By then, your body has accepted it as the norm, when it doesn't have to be. But there's hope in this awareness. Once you recognize the sources of irritation, you can start making small adjustments that reduce strain and support your body's natural control mechanisms. Switching from coffee to herbal teas during certain times of the day, balancing sodium intake with more potassium-rich foods, and spacing acidic meals away from bedtime are just a few strategies that bring real results. And when these changes are combined with the right nutrient, the one we introduced earlier, the improvement can feel almost effortless. Your body doesn't need to be forced, it simply needs to be supported in the right direction. That brings us to a remarkable discovery. In cultures where processed food is rare and daily meals are centered around whole ingredients, nocturia is nearly non-existent. These populations aren't taking fancy supplements or following complicated routines. They're simply avoiding the everyday traps we've come to accept as normal. If we want to reclaim restful sleep and a sense of control, we have to start questioning those norms. Every small change you make creates a ripple effect, and that begins with knowledge. By understanding which habits harm and which ones help, you give yourself the power to shift the balance. Up next, we'll talk about the nutrient itself, what it is, how it works, and why the modern diet has made it so hard to get enough of it. This next insight is one of the most important you'll hear today. Ignoring it could not only stall your progress, but also lead to unexpected setbacks that impact more than just your bladder. Stay tuned and stay committed. By now, you may be realizing that bladder control isn't just about what you drink before bed or how often you visit the restroom. It goes deeper, much deeper. The truth is, your body relies on a complex network of signals between the brain, nerves, and muscles of the urinary tract. And at the very center of this network is one nutrient that quietly influences your ability to sleep through the night without interruptions. This isn't a new discovery. In fact, research has shown for decades that this essential nutrient plays a crucial role in how your muscles contract and relax. But despite all we know, it's still missing from the daily lives of millions. Why? Because the modern diet has moved away from the natural, unprocessed foods that once made this nutrient abundant. What if I told you that this nutrient doesn't just support bladder function, but also helps calm your nervous system, regulate blood pressure, and even reduce anxiety? That it plays a role in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body? That it could be one of the simplest, most affordable ways to regain control of your nights and your quality of life? We're talking about magnesium. Yes, magnesium. A mineral that should be present in many of the foods we eat. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains. But thanks to modern farming practices, over-processed meals, and poor soil quality, even these foods are delivering less magnesium than ever before. And when combined with daily habits that deplete magnesium, like high caffeine intake, alcohol, and chronic stress, deficiency becomes incredibly common. Here's why that matters. Your bladder is a muscle, and just like any other muscle in your body, it needs magnesium to contract and relax properly. Without enough of it, the bladder can become overactive, receiving jumbled signals from the nervous system that tell it to empty too soon or too often. At night, this miscommunication becomes especially disruptive. But the story doesn't end there. Magnesium is also responsible for balancing calcium within the muscle cells. When calcium floods in without enough magnesium to counteract it, the bladder can become tight, irritated, and less responsive to control mechanisms. That means more urgency, more frequency, and more frustration. The good news is that restoring magnesium levels is not only possible, it's transformative. Many people report dramatic improvements in sleep quality, stress response, and bladder control within just a few weeks of adjusting their diet or adding the right form of supplementation. And the best part? Magnesium supports your entire body, not just your bladder. You're not treating a symptom, you're restoring balance. So why haven't more people embraced this solution? Because not all magnesium is created equal. Some forms are poorly absorbed. Others can cause digestive discomfort if taken in the wrong way. And perhaps most importantly, the timing and combination with other nutrients can make a significant difference. For example, taking magnesium alongside a large calcium supplement can reduce its effectiveness. On the other hand, combining magnesium with foods rich in vitamin B6 can actually improve its absorption and transport into the cells. It's these subtle but crucial details that separate success from frustration. And then there's lifestyle. Even if you're getting enough magnesium from food, ongoing stress and poor sleep habits can continue to deplete your stores. That's why a holistic approach is essential. Your body responds best when you're nourishing it from every angle. When you begin to see magnesium not just as a supplement, but as a vital piece of your internal communication system, everything changes. You stop chasing short-term fixes and start building a foundation for long-term wellness. This is where real transformation begins. Up next, we're going to expose the most common mistakes people make when trying to add magnesium to their routine. These are the exact missteps that lead to poor results, and in some cases, even worsen the symptoms. The next tip is one of the most important, and overlooking it may not only limit your progress, it could lead to side effects that are entirely avoidable. Stay focused and attentive. At this point, you understand the remarkable power of magnesium and its role in supporting not just bladder function, but your overall well-being. But here's where many people stumble. They rush to the supplement aisle, grab any bottle labeled magnesium, and expect results overnight. Unfortunately, this approach not only fails to deliver the benefits, it can also create new issues that were never there to begin with. The reality is that magnesium exists in multiple forms, each with unique properties and absorption rates. Some are perfect for calming the nervous system and supporting muscles, while others are better suited for digestive support or even acting as laxatives. If you don't choose the right one, you could be unintentionally flooding your system with the wrong type, leading to discomfort, bloating, or even worsening your nighttime trips to the bathroom. For instance, magnesium oxide is one of the most common forms found in supplements, but it's poorly absorbed and often acts more like a stool softener than a muscle relaxant. If your goal is to improve bladder control, this version won't get you far. On the other hand, magnesium glycinate is a form that binds with the amino acid glycine, making it highly bioavailable and particularly effective for relaxing muscles and calming the nervous system, exactly what your bladder needs during the night. Then there's magnesium citrate. While better absorbed than oxide, it still has a strong laxative effect in higher doses and may not be well tolerated by everyone. For many people looking to improve nocturia, this could create more problems than it solves. That's why knowing how to match the form of magnesium to your specific needs is essential. But it doesn't stop at form. Timing is everything. Taking magnesium too early in the day may miss the critical evening window when your body needs help winding down and preparing for deep, restorative sleep. Conversely, taking it too late or with a heavy meal can interfere with absorption or digestion. The sweet spot for most people lies in the early evening, ideally on a light stomach or paired with calming herbal teas. And what about dosage? Here, more is not always better. The body has a natural limit to how much magnesium it can absorb at one time. Exceed that, and your body will simply flush it out, or worse, you'll be stuck with cramps or diarrhea. A moderate, consistent dose is far more effective than sporadic, high-intensity efforts. Equally important is how magnesium interacts with other nutrients. As we touched on earlier, vitamin B6 can support magnesium's transport into cells, while excessive calcium or phosphorus can compete with it. For this reason, many experts suggest spacing out calcium-rich meals and magnesium intake by a few hours. It's a small adjustment that can make a big difference. Beyond supplements, the way we prepare magnesium-rich foods also matters. Take spinach, for example, a great source of magnesium. But when boiled for too long, much of the mineral is lost in the cooking water. Roasting seeds like pumpkin or sunflower at high heat can reduce their nutritional value as well. Learning gentle cooking methods like steaming or light sautéing preserves the mineral content and makes it easier for your body to benefit. These are the kinds of details that often go unnoticed but hold the power to change outcomes. When we treat magnesium like a tool rather than a magic bullet, we start seeing it for what it really is, a partner in the body's natural restoration process. One that, when used correctly, brings ease where there was once tension and clarity where there was once confusion. Because remember, your bladder doesn't function in isolation. It responds to signals from your brain, your hormones, your muscles, and even your emotional state. Magnesium helps harmonize these signals, but only when used the right way, in the right form, at the right time. Now, we're ready for what may be the most pivotal step in this journey. Up ahead, you'll discover the correct way to prepare and combine specific magnesium-rich foods that amplify results naturally. Skipping this next step may not only prevent you from seeing progress, it can also bring on effects you were trying to avoid in the first place. Pay close attention. Even when someone discovers the right nutrient and understands its importance, one mistake can quietly undo all the progress. And this mistake is more common than you might think. It happens not because people aren't trying, but because they're unaware of how subtle errors in habits, routines, or even timing can completely shift the outcome. Let's start with one of the most overlooked issues: consistency. The body doesn't respond well to sudden bursts of change, followed by periods of neglect. It thrives on rhythm. If you take magnesium sporadically, a few days on, a few days off, your body never gets the chance to establish a steady balance. The nervous system doesn't adapt, the muscles don't recalibrate, and the bladder continues to send mixed signals. You end up thinking the nutrient didn't work, when in reality, it never had a fair chance. Then there's the matter of absorption. Some people unknowingly consume foods and beverages that block magnesium uptake right around the time they take their supplement. For example, high doses of calcium, phosphorus, or even excess sugar can compete with magnesium and limit how much the body absorbs. Drinking soda or energy drinks within a few hours of a magnesium-rich meal can quietly undo all the benefits you were aiming for. Even certain medications, including some diuretics, antibiotics, or proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, can deplete magnesium levels. That's why it's essential to review your full daily routine. The answer isn't always to stop taking something, but to create space and timing so magnesium can be absorbed efficiently. Just moving your intake to a different time of day could make all the difference. Another common mistake is underestimating how much the body needs during periods of stress. Emotional tension, sleep deprivation, and even intense exercise all burn through magnesium faster. That means your intake needs to match your current lifestyle, not just the generic label on a bottle. What worked last month may not be enough this month. And then we come to one of the biggest challenges of all: food preparation. People may try to eat magnesium-rich foods like spinach, legumes, or nuts, but prepare them in a way that strips out their benefits. Boiling leafy greens for too long causes magnesium to leach into the water. Roasting nuts at high temperatures destroys some of the sensitive nutrients. Even blending seeds into smoothies without soaking them first can reduce their digestibility. That's why traditional preparation methods, like lightly steaming, soaking, or sprouting, have stood the test of time. These techniques weren't just about taste. They were about unlocking nutrients so the body could truly benefit. Here's something else few people realize. Magnesium doesn't work in isolation. It thrives in the company of supportive nutrients like vitamin D, B6, and certain trace minerals like zinc. When these cofactors are missing, magnesium might circulate in your bloodstream without ever reaching the cells where it's needed most. That's why real whole food combinations often outperform isolated pills. They contain the symphony of nutrients your body is designed to use together. And finally, we must talk about patience. The modern world encourages fast results. But the human body, in its wisdom, takes time to adjust. For some, the first signs of improvement, deeper sleep, fewer urges, a calmer nervous system, appear within days. For others, it may take weeks of steady effort. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means your body is restoring balance at its own pace. The reward is lasting change, not a quick fix, but a real shift in how your body operates. When you approach magnesium with care, consistency, and curiosity, it becomes more than a supplement. It becomes part of your healing process. We are now ready to take the final step, the one that brings everything together. Because knowing what to take is only half the journey. How you prepare, combine, and time your intake will determine whether you experience real transformation. Ignoring what comes next may not only slow your results, it could lead to setbacks that require even more time to reverse. So stay alert, because the next step could be the most powerful of all. You now have the full picture. You understand how bladder control is deeply connected to the nervous system, muscle function, nutrient balance, and even emotional well-being. But now comes the most practical and rewarding step of all, learning how to prepare and combine your choices in a way that supports real, lasting change. Because when it comes to bladder health and nocturia relief, the how is just as important as the what. Let's begin with food. One of the best natural sources of magnesium is pumpkin seeds. Just a small handful provides a rich supply of this essential mineral, along with zinc and other compounds that support bladder tone. But here's the secret. Roasting these seeds at high temperatures, like what most store-bought versions go through, destroys a large portion of the magnesium and other beneficial oils. Instead, lightly toasting them at low heat or consuming them raw after soaking can dramatically increase their bioavailability. The same goes for spinach, one of the most well-known magnesium-rich greens. Boiling it until it loses its bright green color drains much of its mineral content into the cooking water. To preserve the benefits, steam your spinach lightly or sauté it with a bit of olive oil and garlic, a combination that not only boosts absorption but also brings flavor and satisfaction. But the true power lies in combining magnesium-rich foods with the right partners. Pairing pumpkin seeds with a banana, for example, gives you both magnesium and potassium, a duo known to support healthy muscle function. Or consider combining leafy greens with vitamin C-rich foods like red bell peppers or lemon juice. This not only enhances iron absorption, but helps your body better process and utilize magnesium. To create a restorative evening routine, consider a simple, soothing tea made from chamomile or lemon balm. These herbs are known to relax the nervous system, preparing your body for restful sleep. Stir in a small spoonful of raw honey and a dash of Ceylon cinnamon, both of which can help regulate blood sugar and reduce inflammation. Drink this alongside a light magnesium-rich meal in the early evening, and you create an environment where your body feels safe, calm, and supported. And here is the bonus strategy I promised at the very beginning. There is one ingredient commonly found in North American kitchens that, when used correctly, enhances magnesium absorption and improves urinary function: apple cider vinegar. Just 1 teaspoon diluted in a large glass of water, taken 30 minutes before your evening meal, can help improve digestion, enhance nutrient absorption, and gently alkalize the body, creating a more favorable environment for your bladder. However, this should be done carefully. Apple cider vinegar should always be diluted, and it's not recommended for those with acid reflux or certain stomach sensitivities without guidance. But when used properly, it can quietly amplify the benefits of your magnesium-rich choices. All these steps may seem simple, but they are far more powerful than they appear, because they aren't just random tips, they're pieces of a larger picture. A picture where your body feels heard, supported, and given what it truly needs to function at its best. Your bladder is not failing you. It's responding to what it's been given, or what it's been missing. When you change the input, you change the outcome. And with the right tools, the right timing, and the right mindset, the transformation can be profound. You don't need extreme measures. You don't need to accept poor sleep or daily discomfort as a permanent part of life. What you need is knowledge and the willingness to apply it. Now that you have this information, I encourage you to take action. Share what you've learned with someone who might also benefit. Try just one of the strategies today. Observe how your body responds. And if you found this helpful, support this space by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Together, we can continue spreading clarity, care, and natural wisdom to those who need it most. Because sometimes the most powerful healing begins not with a prescription, but with understanding, commitment, and the right nutrient, at the right time, prepared the right way.